this is Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations. Happy New Year. Hey, you guys, we're almost there. 2025. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. This year went by so fast. I have a cute project for you tonight. We are calling this a stacked page purse planner, and it is a really fun project. So this is the one we're going to be making after I do a walkthrough with you. And so I'm going to put this off to the side for just a second. These were my prototypes, and the reason why I want to show you my prototypes is because I've got some different ideas that we'll talk about throughout the tutorial that I want to share with you. So my first prototype is this one, and you can see this is a cute little planner. It measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's really cute. Just has a seam binding closure, and what we're doing with this tonight is we are making a purse planner. So there's going to be room for putting you know, a calendar in here you can write on. You can put a small picture in here, like your favorite picture of your kids for the month. You can use ephemera pieces, all kinds of different stuff. There's a pocket on every page, and I'll just flip through this really quickly. This is a style where I covered the left side with pattern paper and the pocket with pattern paper, but I left the back of the pocket plain. So this was kind of my first run through. I did make tabs on pieces of copy paper so that you could have a little tuck spot to write notes or whatever. But what I was thinking was this is going to be a great purse planner that you could throw in your purse. It's not super decorated on the front. You know, you can write in little appointments and things. Jog your memory when you're out and about and you want to know, like if someone mentions like, hey, let's do lunch in 2 Mondays from now. You can remember, you know, if you've got something going on. So that was my idea for this. It's not intended to be like a full-on planner, but kind of a companion planner, just to throw in your purse and have your, you know, your notes, so you can jog your memory, because Lord knows I need to jog my memory all the time. So if I don't write it down, I don't remember. I did decorate it with some buttons here that I made a little bookmark with, but you know, that's one of the options that you can do. Now the tabs that I did use on those pages, I did get from Country Craft Creations. They're uniquely creative metal dies, and I did use them for that project, and it just was something fun to put on the little notepads. Another idea I thought about with these is that these would be a really cute little brag book that you can make for grandma and grandpa, send pictures of the kids to. This one here, I did the wrap around with the seam binding here. Again, the seam binding all came from Country Craft Creations. This is Victorian teacups. And I didn't have a lot of this paper, but I did want to use it. I think it fits the Bridgerton theme, but I did a little bit different with this calendar, in that I did the same thing with the pockets and everything, but I did a little bit different with the border. Because I didn't have a lot of pattern paper, I did that. But then I also made a larger size calendar that you could either put on a piece of pattern paper and tuck in the pocket, or you can glue it to the page over here and have just a little bit bigger calendar. I will have printables down below. There are links, and you can print these off for yourself. Print them off on 8 1/2 by 11 paper. Make sure that it is at 100%, and I will show you how I cut them during the tutorial. Okay, so this one you can see it's not, you know, themed monthly. We're just using a straight paper collection. These little ephemera pieces I got at Country Craft Creations a couple years ago when I was there in Utah. So that's where those came from, but I thought they were perfect and Victorian, you know, kind of feeling for this project. So I thought this was kind of fun. But this has a lot of different, you know, applications. Like when I go to my dentist and they, you know, give me my card for my next appointment, I could pop it in my book, take it home. I can keep receipts if I need to, whatever. So that is my second prototype. Now, the one we're making tonight is this one. Now, I'm using Remember the Time for this. I used white Artisan Cardstock on this. The other two prototypes, I did use greeting cards. That's where this whole thing came from, and that's hence the size 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I had some on my desk from making Christmas cards, and then this idea came to me. So that's why I sized it the way I did. But you can make this, you know, pretty much any size you want, up to 6 inches wide using your 12 by 12 paper. But we're going to use our 12 by 12 Artisan Cardstock white for this, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And so again, this has 12 pages, but if you're not making it for a calendar, you can make as many or as few pages as you like. So I used the paper and I did it by month. So I have my little calendars here. There's a great place for a photo here. I loved the pattern papers, and on this one I use the pattern papers on both the back and the top of the pocket. So you can, I'll show you how to cut those and how to size the papers and how to cut the strips for the pattern paper. So please watch the tutorial if you want to use, because like this is the A side of the paper and this is the B side of the paper. I'm going to show you how to cut it all out of one strip of paper. And then these are the cut-aparts that come with the paper collection for Remember the Time. Now, this is still available in the store, so I'm going to have links down below if you want to go get it. But again, you can use any paper you want. Use my printables. You can make these little calendars. They're really, really fun. And then again, if you don't like the smaller calendars, you can always print out the larger size, and those will work perfectly on these papers as well. So, I'm going to flip through this real quick, and then we're going to walk right into the tutorial, and I really hope you enjoy it. So Happy New Year. Let's make a planner, and let's make 2025 nice and stress-free by knowing what we're doing and when we're doing it. All right? So I'll see you in a second. We'll get on with the tutorial. Okay, hello everybody. This is Michelle, and we're going to start with our tutorial. I know you've seen kind of a walkthrough and a show and tell of what I've done with the prototypes here. So let's get started with the tutorial. It's super, super fast, and it will go really, really quick. So again, I wanted to mention that I'm using Remember the Time. This is the Country Craft Creations exclusive collection that was done a couple years ago, and it is available in the store. So I will have links down below. So without further ado, let's get started. This is a very simple project. It will not take you much time at all to create. And then the fun thing is that you can do lots and lots of things with this. And then you can also make this in different sizes if you want. So like I mentioned, when I did my prototypes, I had some greeting card blanks on my table. And so that's kind of what I was playing with to make the prototype. But I'm going to use Artisan Cardstock. This is the white Artisan Cardstock that's 87 pounds. That is available at Country Craft Creations as well, and it's going to make a nice sturdy book. And then just to remind you that one of the things that I did think about when I was doing this is I wanted a purse planner, something that I could put in my bag and I could use. And so that's why I didn't add a lot of frills and things like that to it, because, it is going to be living in my purse. So it is meant to be more of a functional kind of thing. Not like to replace my desk planner, but, just to kind of have like a little go-to thing that I could look at when my husband, and I are out, and, he's like, hey, what do we got going on this day? And I honestly can't remember, so I want to write it down. So that's why we're doing this. Okay, so what you will need is Artisan Cardstock. I used 6 sheets total, and what I did was I cut each sheet into 8.5 by 11, and then cut those in half. So this is essentially the greeting card size. So this is 5.5 by 8.5. You're going to put it you're going to put it in the scoreboard, if I can talk, with the 8.5 at the top, and we're just going to score it down the middle at 4.25. So like I said, you can make this any size. If you want to expand this and do it 6 by 12, then you could score it at 6. You kind of get the idea here. So this one again, 5.5 by 8.5, score it down the middle at 4.25. So again, you're going to want to make 12 of these. One of them you're going to put off to the side because you do not want to cut one of them. 11 of them you're going to cut. And what you're going to do is cut from the inside corner to the bottom corner here. So I'm just going to put it in my trimmer. I'm going to line up that scored edge, and that's one of the reasons why I folded it and burnished it, is because it makes it easier for me to see in my cutter. And then I'm going to line that up, and I'm just going to cut that upper triangle piece off, and I'm going to save that, because what we're going to do next with one of these triangles is we're going to trim. So what you're going to want to do with this leftover triangle here is we're going to take just one of them. You only need one of these, and we're going to put it in our cutter. Now, if I line it up to the edge of my cutter, you'll see that the point on that shorter side goes to 4.25. I'm going to back it off just a little bit to 4 3/16, which is right in between an 1/8 and a 1/4. And I'm going to just cut off a sliver, and we're going to save this for our last page, okay? So you're going to want to do this to 11 and then just trim one of these leftover pieces off and save that. The other ones you can put off to the side and use those for other decorations or other projects or whatever in your scrap pile, okay? So just keep one of these triangles and then you have these. So then what we're going to do is we're going to basically stack them together and create a little book. Now, I've already started doing that. So when we do this, and I'll glue a few with you, you're going to end up with a pocket. And we're just going to glue the triangle to the front of the next piece. We're just going to keep doing that all the way around. Okay, so we're just going to do a glued pocket. So I've already done a bunch of these because it's just repetitive. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make sure that's folded and burnished really nicely. And then I'm going to just take my art glitter glue here and I'm just going to put a thin line down at the bottom here. And up the side, okay, so that is on that triangle piece. And then I'm going to just lay that down on the front of that piece, okay, so the triangle's at the bottom here. And then I'm just going to line that up, and that's just going to create our pockets. Really super simple. And then before that glue sets, I'm just going to stand it up and kind of put it against my desk and try to keep it as nice and straight as absolutely possible, okay? I'm going to open it up. This is the piece that I just glued down, and I'm just going to burnish that down a little bit, and that's going to create the pocket, okay? So then we're just going to continue on. So I've got a couple more. We'll just do a couple more together. So again, just make sure that's nice and flat. Put our glue here. Just a thin line. You don't need too much. I'm going to lay that down. Okay. Now this will definitely be way sturdier than if I used the greeting cards, because, you know, like I said, I did use the greeting cards, but this Artisan Cardstock is going to be a lot sturdier, so I really like that part, okay? So we've got 2 more to do. We'll just go ahead and do that, and then we get to decorate. Now, you can use any paper you want for this. I chose Remember the Time, and I wanted, because I wanted to use, you know, the month papers and all that stuff. You don't necessarily have to do that. You could choose any paper that you want, and honestly, I had a dilemma because we had so many papers, you know, in my stash from CCC that I really wanted to use, and I had to kind of narrow it down a little bit. So I did choose the Remember the Time. It fit great with the theme of this. You can also, lots of ideas with this. You don't have to make it a planner if you don't want to. You can totally do this as a little brag book in and of itself. A cute little quick present to give to somebody, a cute little book to make really quick to send to grandma and grandpa with pictures of the kids in it. You could put as many or as few pages in this as you want, you know, and just, it's just really versatile. I love that fact. All right, so now what we have are all of the cut pages together, all 11 of them. So this will be like for January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and then we need December. So that's where this one piece that's uncut comes in, because we are going to need to have the back there. So what we're going to do is just glue it to the cut or uncut piece, glue the cut piece to the uncut piece, and then you probably already guessed, but that's where we're going to put that little trim triangle on the inside of this card. So we're not wasting any more paper. We're just utilizing that cut piece. All right, so I'm gluing that last piece down. So what this will do, since it's not cut, is it's going to give us the back of our book, right? And we have finished this up. December will go right here, and then this is where we're going to put, our pocket right here. And we trimmed it a little bit because we want it to fit in that score. So that's why we kind of took that little tiny piece off, and no one's ever going to notice that you took that sliver off. So we're going to take that last piece, we're going to put our glue on that. and then we're just going to glue it to the inside page. Now, because of the way that the spine is with the folded pieces, I'm going to just hold this up just so I can get it flat on my table and lay that down. And that is going to be your final pocket for the month of December. Okay? So that's it. You've got your book. So there you go. So that's what it's going to look like, kind of all splayed out. Every page has a blank page on the left, a pocket on the right, and then the spine will be like this. It's nice and compact. Again, throw it in your purse and you're good to go. All right, so the next thing to do is we are going to, before you put your pattern paper on the front and the back of your book, you're going to want some seam binding. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the seam binding on the back right in the middle, and then we'll cover that up with my pattern paper. So I'm going to grab my score tape here, and I'm going to grab my ruler here just so I can get it in the middle. So this is 5 1/2, so we're going to line it up at 2 3/4 is the middle, and I'm just going to put a line of score tape across, and that's where my seam binding is going to be. Now, I cut my seam binding at about 1 yard because I wanted to make enough to where it'll wrap around. Now, if you don't want it to wrap around, you can cut it shorter. You can trim it after the fact if you want, whatever you want to do, okay? And then I've chosen my pattern papers for the front and the back, all right? I really liked the poppies and the blue. Blue is one of my favorite colors, so I really wanted to use that. And I just like the red. I thought it was really pretty. So we're going to put this pattern paper on the back. We're just going to cover that seam binding up. Now, I cut my pattern papers 1/8 of an inch smaller than my book page. Okay, so this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I cut my papers at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, so not much of a border. I'm not getting super fancy. Remember, this is going to be in my purse. And, you know, so I didn't want it to have a whole lot of bulk on it. I'm going to do a little bit. I'm going to do a little decoration because I'd have to, but I didn't want to do like a whole bunch because I'm trying to keep it to where it's not going to be too big, you know, pocket size. That's what I'm trying to go for. All right, so next page is going to go here, or next piece, and this is the front of my little book. All right, and then the idea is that this will wrap around like this, and then this side will wrap around like this, and then we'll tie it in a pretty bow, and then I'll trim it. So that's what my idea was. Okay, so now we got to cover the inside with the pattern papers, and what I did was I went through and I cut my pattern papers. So they're kind of all in a pile here. So I'll show you what I did, and then I'm going to show you how to put one on camera, and then I'll do the rest off camera so that you don't have to watch all that, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the rest. But so like I went through, and every month I picked paper. So this is the January paper here. So I picked the solid one for the left side. Let me move this over to the side here and try not to mess up my pile. So I put the kind of more solid paper on the left side because that's where I'm going to put my little calendar, okay? And again, this is totally up to you if you want to use it or not. This would be a great place to put a picture if you're going to send this as like a present to Grandma and Grandpa, for example, okay? So again, I cut it at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So that's going to go on the left side. Now the right side, because I'm not going to cover the back pocket. Now you totally can if you want, and I might, who knows. I have the pieces, so you know the option is up to you. You saw in the prototypes that I did not do it on the one side in one of my prototypes, but I might do it on this side too. I think I might. I just might. So anyway, what you're going to want to do with the pattern paper here is you're going to cut this a little bit smaller because we need a little bit more room for the triangles. So instead of cutting it at 4 1/8, you're going to cut it at 4 inches, and then you're going to cut it down to 5 1/4. Okay. So this piece of paper here when I cut it, and let me show you how I cut it because I got a piece of paper right here. So this side is 4 1/8. This side, this piece is 4 inches, okay, wide. So what I did was I took the strip of paper that I wanted and I cut it down to 4 1/8 wide by 12, okay? So then I'm going to grab my handy dandy cutter. And so for the left side, this is for my Christmas paper here for the last month here, I'm going to cut it at 5 3/8, okay? So this first piece is going to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, okay? And that'll be on the left side. Then I took the rest of it and I trimmed it down to 5 1/4, all right? Because we want this side, the right side, to be 5 1/4. So we're going to trim that to 5 1/4, and then we're going to turn it and we're going to trim it to 4. And I actually should turn it over because I'm going to be actually using this side for the pocket side. So I'm going to trim it to 4. So now that it's in, I've got it cut. I've trimmed it to 4 by 5 1/4. Then I'm going to go ahead from the upper left corner to the bottom right corner, and I'm going to trim that in half. And that is going to give you the perfect papers to mat your pockets, okay? So this is going to be for December, and I wanted to show you that. So again, cut your strip down lengthwise 4 1/8 by 12, then trim this first piece off at 5 3/8. That'll go on the left side of your page, okay? Then you're going to take the remaining piece, all right, you're going to trim it to 5 1/4, and then you're going to trim it to 4, and then that's when you turn it into the triangles, and then that will be on the right side of your page, okay? So that's how you're going to cut your papers, and then it's just a matter of putting your papers down. So I'll show you this first one, and then we'll go into how I cut my calendars, and then I will finish this up, and then I'll come back and you can see what it looks like. All right, so I'm going to just put this on the page. I'm going to get glue everywhere too while I'm at it. I'm going to get these off the page so I can okay, so there's that first piece. And then, like I did in my prototypes, if you want to just put pattern paper on the one side, you can, and then you can leave this for some other project, or you can go ahead and mat both pieces and then have your pocket be like that. So I think since I did it in the prototype without, we'll do it with this time, and I'll just glue that down and show you what that looks like so you can see all of the versions of this. Okay, so I'm just going to put glue down, and you'll see when you get the pattern paper on that when you trim the paper like I showed you, it gives you that perfect matting, and it just mats those triangles absolutely perfectly, and you still have like the edge of the cardstock. So I feel like I'm rambling. I'm sorry guys, I don't know why I'm rambling, but I feel like I'm rambling. So I hope you're having a great time with this New Year's Eve hop. I'm having a ball with it, and I'm excited about the other projects. All right. Okay, so there it is. So now you have your page with your pocket, and then you have your little calendar here, and you could put that down like that. I printed the calendars off on 28-pound paper, and you can glue these on any way that you want to. What I'm going to do with mine, because honestly, I don't like glue on the back of something I might write on, so I'm going to use my Easy Runner Grand that I did get from Country Craft Creations. I like it because then it sticks down and it's really good, but it also doesn't give me like any, like if I, you know how sometimes you get the bumps with your glue, you're not going to have that. And then it's easier to write on for me. So I prefer to do it this way. You can use whatever you want, but there is your little calendar. Now you have a little space here. You can put a little photograph if you want. You can decorate it, whatever you want to do. Now, while I'm on this topic here, now we also have some options here. So I did print some bigger calendars. You can put a bigger calendar on this side if you want. You can cut the bigger calendar, put it in the pocket here, but I did give you a choice on that. So there's the bigger calendar. The links will be down below. It's a Google Doc. You'll get a Google Drive link, and you can go ahead and download these for whichever size that you prefer to use. On this one here, I did cut these down to 3 7/8 wide by 2 7/8 tall. So how I ended up doing that was, let me use my bigger cutter here. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut it right down the middle of my paper here at 4 1/4, okay? And then you can see from this edge right here, I'm just going to turn this around and I'm going to trim that to 3 7/8. Okay. And then what I did was I tried to line it up so that I had about 1/8 of an inch above the month. Okay. And then I went down the whole way and I'm trying to line it up in my cutter, just kind of eyeballing, but the top of the date here with my 1/8 inch mark here. And it doesn't have to be like super exact, but that's how I did it. Just as long as you get it trimmed. And then I'm going to turn it around and then I'm going to trim it to 2 7/8, okay? So that's how I cut these calendar pieces here. All right. So we'll get these 3 cut, and then I'll do the other ones off camera. But that's how I cut the calendars to be the right size for that. Now, the bigger ones here, let me show you. Grab this one. So the bigger ones that I just kind of stuck in the pocket, and I did put them on the pattern paper. When I cut those, the pattern paper is 3 7/8 by 5 1/4, or excuse me, 5 1/8. 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and then I cut the calendars to be about 3 3/4 by 5. Okay, so again, I'm going to cut down the middle at 4 1/4. Okay. And then I'm just going to trim it 1/8 of an inch on this side. And then I'm going to line it up to 3 7/8, right? That's what I did, right? I'm trying to remember what I did. 3 3/4, excuse me. 3 3/4. Okay, so I took 1/8 of an inch off the one side, and I'm taking 1/4 inch off the other side. So I'm lining it up and making sure it's 3 3/4 wide, and then it's going to be 5 inches tall. That's a little bit too tall. We can take off a little bit there. So I just want to, I'm eyeballing this right now. So I'm just cutting it above that and then making sure that it's 5. Okay, so that's how I cut the larger calendars if you want to do that. Now this one here has less room at the bottom, so I'm just going to line that up to 5, and I'm going to trim that off, and I might need to go up a little bit more there and cut that 2 off, but there you go. So that's how I did that. Okay, so that's how I cut the calendars. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish putting the pattern paper on this book here, and then I will come back and show you about the cover decoration. Okay, so I am back. I've got all the pattern papers on here, so I'm going to flip through here. I have all of my calendars put on, and then in the pocket, I did go through the paper collection, and they had these great little cut-aparts that have some journaling spots. So I put one of those in every pocket. So I'll flip through and show you. Now, remember what I told you about the pattern papers and which angle to cut? Make sure you do it the proper way, because I actually wanted the red over here. And I goofed. So I actually wanted the purple side over here, because then I could see all the envelopes and everything. But that's there you go. So that's what happens. So if you do cut it at the wrong angle, it's not like the end of the world, but just so you know. But there you go. So March, and there's April, May, June, July. Isn't this cute? And I just love the pockets. August, September, October, there's November, and then December looks like that. Okay, so then my glue gun is heating up. So while it's heating up, we'll talk about this. So I do have a couple of the pieces from the January ephemera pieces that came with the pattern paper. So I cut 2 of the tickets, and I cut this medallion here, and then this little doily kind of peeking out the back. That is actually a die that I received in one of the Seasons of Creativity boxes. So I did use that, and I just, out of one of the triangles that was left over, I just cut a little bit of doily because I wanted that little pop of something behind it. And then I went through and got some twine that I had from Country Craft Creations. Then I have a button here, and I'm going to put that on the top. And that's going to be kind of the extent of the cover decorations. But I think that, so these papers here are from August, okay, the ones I used on the front and the back cover. And I just thought that that all kind of really matched really well. So again, the papers I got from the August papers, but then the ephemera here that I cut out is from January. So I'm just going to layer that there, and then this will go around and it'll tie in a bow there. So while my glue gun is heating up, because I will need the glue gun for the bow and the button, I wanted to show you a couple of other quick things. So in this prototype, I didn't have a lot of this paper left over to do the pockets with, so I decided to do like a border strip here. So you can see all of these pages have like a border along the pocket, and when I take these out of the pocket, I did not cover this side, so that's another option, and I wanted to tell you how to do that. And then I also wanted to show you that if you wanted to use the bigger calendars with a little bit more room to write on, this is how they fit on the page. So they do take up a lot of the room there. So that is, again, another option. Or you could trim it down, and like on this one, I backed it on a piece of the pattern paper and then just stuck it in the pocket here. So I just wanted to share that with you. But let me talk about how I sized those little strips here. So what I ended up doing with that was I took, this is one of the pieces that I cut off of one of my prototypes, and it's not trimmed or anything like that. But to make the little border strip, what I ended up doing was taking another piece, and I just trimmed it to 4 and an 8. I'm going to use this as a template. So then what I did was I took little strips of paper, and these little strips of paper I think are about 1 inch. They were about 1 inch wide when I did it. And I used my favorite edge punch and just punched one of the edges. And then what I did was I lined this up and kind of got my scallops and everything where I liked them on my little template here. And if you turn it over, you can see the back side of that. And I just kind of tried to line up my little scallops here. And then you can use clips if you want, but I usually just freehand it. And I just took my scissors and I cut using that trimmed triangle as a guide, okay? And then just trimmed that angle, okay? And then what you can do is put that here, and then that was the border piece for the pocket if you want that. So that's another option if you don't have a lot of pattern paper to cover a whole pocket, or just want to put, like, this would look cute, like here, it would look cute as a little accent piece too. So you could do that as well. So that's what I did there. And then the other option that I wanted to show you really quick, which I did not use, but it's definitely an option. So for example, like here is your And again, this is scraps from my prototype, and I kind of goofed on this piece, so that's why I used it. So here is the pocket. So if you can imagine this in your book, here is the pocket with the pattern paper. So you have that covered. But what you can do is take these pieces, and if you want to, you can cut them in half, and you can use these as little pockets too. So if you wanted to take like one of these little triangles and put it here and make kind of an odd pocket, you could have a little, let me get in camera here, you could have a little tuck spot here as well. So just an option. I did not do that option, but it is an option. When you cut this triangle, and when I say cut it in half, I mean put it in the board and line up that point and just cut it down the middle. You get two different size pieces with that. So you could use either one. You could take this one and put it here and have a second little tuck spot here, or, you know, you can do like this, or you could do like that. I mean, whatever your little heart desires, and then just trim your pattern paper accordingly to fit those pockets. So lots of options to play with. Okay, so now what we need to do is my cover element here. So I'm going to wrap this around because I want to see where my bow is going to land first. Okay, so we're going to wrap this around the middle. That's where my bow is going to land. So this guy's going to tuck kind of up towards the top like that. Okay, so that's where I want that. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I just kind of layered them together the way I liked them, okay? So they're just basically tacked down, and then what I'm going to do is take my glue, and I'm going to put a little glue here. All right. I'm just going to kind of put that right in the middle. Now you could back this on another piece of cardstock if you want, to make it pop even a little bit more. But I thought that looked really good. I don't know. I liked it. So then I have my little bow. So I just did the little twine bow, and I'm going to put that right there. It's going to be just a little decoration. Let me make sure my glue gun's hot. And it's working. It is working. So that's good. And I'm just going to put a little dollop of glue here. Need another glue stick, I think. Put that there. Let me grab my little glue stick and pop that in there real quick. And then I'm going to put another little dollop of glue. And this button and the twine, the button was a leftover from a design team project, and the twine is from Country Craft Creations. So, you know, just going to push that down, make sure everything sticks. Then we've got a cute little decoration on the front, and I didn't want to get too, you know, decorated. I don't want it too lumpy. I am going to write on the other side of this on the January calendar. So, you know, you want to be cognizant of that. And also, if you're going to throw it in your purse like I plan on doing it, then you don't want to, you know, have it be too lumpy. And again, you don't have to wrap it around. I wanted to. It also, if I, you know, do fill pockets, then it gives me a little bit more seam binding to work with, so I can, you know, loosen it up a little bit. So that's why I'm doing that. But if you don't want to do that, you can go ahead and just, you know, just loop it to the front and then not have to wrap it around, okay? So I'm just going to tie little knots so it doesn't fray and snip that off. And then my little purse planner is done, all right? So super cute. Love how this turned out, and I think it's absolutely adorable. So again, here was my original prototype. You can, you know, decorate however you want. Here is my other prototype that I did with Victorian teacups, and this is again a Country Craft Creations exclusive paper. So yeah, this was Victorian teacups. This is Remember the Time. This is from my stash. But yeah, that's my project for you. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I thank you so much for watching. Please check out all of the other videos. All of the designers have some great project ideas for you. Happy New Year, and I'm looking forward to 2025. Stay crafty, have a healthy, happy, and wonderful New Year, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.